Hello, everyone. Stacking the Boxes live. It is the January 13th edition, the post-wildcard weekend edition with one game, of course, still to go. Iain MacMillan here, Sterling Holmes. Sterling, how you doing this morning?
Yeah, we were laughing before the show. I am very tired. My dog decided, hey, what if we just didn't sleep?
Yeah.
What if we just pulled an all-nighter, huh? How does that sound? So I slept about an hour last night. Old boy's tired. And what's my dog doing right now, you ask?
Sleeping.
I'll show you.
Not live. Oh, no.
He just woke up, I guess. Oh, no, going back to bed. Yeah. So, yeah. So a little tired. We're gonna grind though, baby. We're Gruden grinder. We're like the Chiefs. All we do is win. We find ways.
Okay.
We find ways, Iain.
I will do my part to bring up the energy of the show to make up for your lack of sleep, Sterling. Trevor in the chat already still feeling good about the Chiefs losing this week. Honest answer, no. The answer I'm going to go with from here on out, yes. Texans are definitely winning this weekend.
So Iain also has, to put this in perspective, he's got a lot riding on this Chiefs game.
Yes.
Because we've done double or nothing. And it was two for one. The Chiefs win a playoff game, which almost hurts me that they got the 1 seed because now they have to play a better team. Or, I guess, and two, Falcons had to win a playoff game.
Yep.
Well, the Falcons didn't even make the playoffs, so that was good for me.
Yep. They would have won last night. I guess they wouldn't have played the Commanders, so they would have played the Vikings, but still.
So things are looking
bad performance by the Bucs.
Pretty good for old Stu over here, and it's double or nothing. We don't really have a prize yet. We'll be in not Vegas. We'll be in New Orleans together
behind enemy lines.
So we'll see.
Something will happen that week but it's not going to matter because the Texans will win this week. But that is not for today's show, Trevor, because that will be Wednesday's show when we preview divisional round. From here on out, we're not talking Kansas City Chiefs because we are recapping wildcard weekend and the Kansas City Chiefs did not play because they had to bye. All right, let's actually start. Let's go chronological, if that's all right with you, Sterling. Let's start with the first game of the week, which was Saturday afternoon. It was the Houston Texans and LA Chargers, the Texans who continuously play on Saturday afternoon. And actually, I just saw their divisional round schedule. It'll be Texans Chiefs on Saturday afternoon because if the Texans are in the playoffs, they're playing on Saturday afternoon. Even the Kansas City Chiefs, their pull, you would think prime time, Patrick Mahomes, Taylor Swift, defending Super Bowl champs. Even the power of the Kansas City Chiefs can't give the Texans a prime time game. That will be Saturday afternoon in the divisional round. I think it was a surprising result for most that the Texans beat the Chargers. I think it was the outside of tonight, it was the shortest point spread of all the games that we've seen so far. But still, I did not see a single person pick the Texans. But they did win in a way that if you would have asked me, how do the Texans win that game? It was exactly that. The Chargers offense had a bad game. Justin Herbert played poorly. And the Texans do have a good defense. I think a lot of people are a little low on the Texans because of how they played, especially late in the season, especially offensively. But they have they have a few very good cornerbacks. They have a very good secondary, lead the NFL in opponent completion percentage. And going up against a team like the Chargers, who have Ladd McConkey and basically no one else, that was kind of one area that they had an advantage in heading into this game.
And that's what it was.
Yeah.
It really came down, and Justin Herbert was atrocious.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 interceptions. You had 3 all season. That is the definition of a choke job. Now, I get one glanced off of a I think it was a tight end's hands into the waiting arms. Yeah. But I get that. But what about the other 3?
Yeah.
I mean, he was brutal. And I'm a huge Justin Herbert guy. I think he's really talented. I keep saying give him weapons, which they give him Ladd McConkey, and they gave him a great tackles, good offensive line overall, right? Because my thought was they'll be able to neutralize Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter because those guys are going up against Alt and Rashawn Slater. Didn't matter, man. It was Ladd McConkey had, 197, 187. Now one was buoyed by a 90-yard touchdown. But Ladd McConkey was great, and that was it. Quentin Johnston turned back into the old Quentin Johnston. Hands were bricks. They were cement blocks. Couldn't catch anything. But Herbert did himself no favors. I mean, on one of those interceptions, sailing Lad McConkey by about 15 yards. Wilt Chamberlain on stilts wasn't catching that ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, that was a Herbert performance that was atrocious, coupled with the Texans taking advantage. Because I don't know if you get a lot of confidence. Yeah, they put up 30-plus points. I get that. The Texans looked okay. They had a lot of short fields. They had a lot of possessions because of all the turnovers that the Chargers had. I'm still having some questions about the Houston Texans offense.
Now, this is 2 Justin Herbert playoff appearances, both ending in embarrassing fashion. Obviously, a couple of years ago, they lost to the Jaguars in what I think... How big was that lead? Because I think that was a bigger lead than 28-3.
I think it was 28-0.
Yeah. So, I thought maybe the lead was 27 points. But regardless, huge lead that he blew against the Jaguars, and now against the Texans team, when you're favored, you're supposed to come in firing. Yeah, you lost the game, but you also threw 4 interceptions. Is the narrative that's starting to go around that he can't show up in big moments fair, or is it a little bit too early to have that opinion about Justin Herbert? Because, to be fair, the Chargers, yes, great tackles. You have Lad McConkey, but in terms of all the playoff teams, I think they have the worst skill players at running back and receiver. Obviously, J.K. Dobbins is decent. I don't think he was the same since he came back from injury, but you have one Lad McConkey. They don't have a number 2. They needed Quentin Johnston to show up in a big way. He didn't. Will Dissly obviously did not have a good game. So in my opinion, it's a little tough to put the blame all on Justin Herbert when it's going to be difficult no matter what going up against a secondary as good as the Texans are when you have one solid receiver.
Yeah, I mean, I will say C.J. Stroud did it. He only has one solid receiver right now. Nico Collins is better than Lad McConkey, and I love Lad McConkey. Dalton Schultz, better than Will Dissly.
Yeah.
But the point remains. What was it? Xavier Hutchinson was his wide receiver 2 in this game.
Yeah,
right?
John Mechie.
Mechie.
But still, yeah.
But you get my point. You get my point. I think it's too early to call him a legit choker. But this was a game that was a choke job. This is the game. He would have had to done a lot for me to be like, okay, yeah, Herbert, time to put him in the choker category. But he did a lot this game that was real bad. Because those numbers even he had were buoyed, again, by a 90-plus yard touchdown to Lad McConkey, where Lad made pretty much the entire play happen.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to have more nuance than that. Because I think he's a good quarterback. And if you're a Chiefs fan, you've seen him not crumble in big-time moments against Kansas City, right? But that's not a playoff game. For all the talk about, okay, yeah, well, how did the defense blow the 27, 28-point lead the first playoff time around? Well, he didn't score in the second half. That offense did not score any more points. Kind of borders on the choke job. So I don't know. I'll give him one more game. But if you lose one more playoff game and you look like this, yeah, you have to say he's in that category of Lamar of choke job central.
Yeah, Chargers, I just looked up that game. They were up 27-0, so it was a 27-point lead. And then were outscored 31-3 the rest of the game, lost 31-30.
Sorry, 3 points. They scored 3 more points in the second. Yeah. Or was that in the first half still?
No, third quarter. They scored got a field goal in the third quarter. But yeah, I mean, I'm not ready to call him a choker just quite yet. I think this does put an unbelievable amount of pressure the next time that he starts in the playoffs.
Yes.
Because if it happens a third time, then you kind of deserve it. I do think it's 3 strikes a row in this kind of a situation.
Yeah.
What was Justin Herbert's stat line in that game? Didn't throw any interceptions. 25, 43, 273. Yeah, he stopped kind of completing passes in the second half.
Yeah.
All right. Any other final thoughts from Texans? Obviously, we're going to talk Texans-Chiefs on Wednesday, but
C.J. Stroud looked good, which is great if you're a Texans fan. Their defense looked outstanding, which is great. The playmakers made plays. And then if you're the Chargers, putting a little bow on the season, still a successful year overall. Expectations were not high. You know, maybe I'm wrong because I'm not in L.A., but I didn't feel like expectations this year were playoffs or bust, right? I think it was, Let's see what we look like. We have a legitimate head coach now. We drafted a rookie wide receiver. Let's see if Quentin Johnson takes a step forward. Let's see if Joe Alt is the tackle of the future that we all think he's going to be. Let's see if Ladd McConkey can be a piece. Well, they answered all their questions. Joe Alt is going to be one of the best tackles in the entire NFL. Ladd McConkey was a complete and utter hit. Quentin Johnston showed glimpses, but yet the drop still arose. And then obviously Harbaugh is the head coach that's going to find a way to get it done. So I think overall, if you're a Chargers fan, there is a lot of positives to take from this season.
Yes. Are you scared about the Texans?
Any given Sunday or Saturday because you're playing the Texans.
Yeah. Trevor in the chat says Falcons also had a bye this week, right? That's correct. Falcons are actually they're actually in the middle of a 30-week bye. So they're going to be well rested by their next game. Very well rested. Herbert was awful. 10P kids. Herbert equals Andy Dalton. Okay. Knock one time. More Tomlin. Say we're going to talk about that game right now. The Crows against either the Lions. I'm guessing. The Ravens against either the Lions or Vikings for the Super Bowl. Yeah, we'll see. Possibly. Trevor says, honestly, just think he's another guy. Not sure he will have a good shot against Allen, Mahomes, or Burrow. Well, he definitely needs more help. That is for sure. I'm not ready to completely judge Herbert just quite yet. Because I do think the Chargers, out of all the contenders from the start of the season till the end, had the worst receiving core. Texans, point taken. Right now they only have Nico Collins, but that wasn't the case for the full season.
Agreed.
All right, let's talk the Saturday night game. It was the Ravens against the Steelers. That game went just about exactly, pretty much the only game I correctly predicted, to be honest. The Ravens just steamrolled them. The Steelers, I think it's something we need to pay attention to. It actually kind of happened with the Packers too. Playoffs in the future, when a team stumbles in their last couple of games, just assume that they're going to look just as bad in the playoff game. You can't stumble into the playoffs and then fix things.
Texans.
Yes, Texans did beat the Titans in Week 18, though. Texans beat the Titans.
Okay, to end the year, though, just the last 4
Yeah,
games,
you're right.
So
Touche. But the Steelers, lost 4 games straight. There were some hints that the locker room wasn't going so well, and then they really came out with a dud against the Ravens.
Yeah, this, I didn't see it like this. I didn't. You and I, we differed. You were correct. I was wrong. I thought the Steelers, third time around, AFC North, they'd find a way to keep this a one-score game. I didn't have them to win, but I said I could see them. I'm giving them a good chance of making this thing real close and having a shot late in the game. This was over from the get-go. Lamar looked great, right? Lamar needs to do more, though, because you beating the Steelers in the wild card round does not squash any of the playoff issues.
No.
Especially when Derrick Henry goes off for 144, right? Whatever it was on the ground. I mean, Derrick Henry was outstanding yet again. So,
186.
What was that, 186?
186.
Yeah, okay. So, I forgot the 44-yard touchdown run, too. So I'm not trying to use Derrick Henry to knock Lamar, but Lamar needs to do it against a good playoff team. The Steelers team was not a good playoff team. I just thought third time around, things would be close.
Yeah, hopefully Ravens will get Zay Flowers back here for the divisional round and what I think will be the game of the year between the Bills and the Ravens. That is going to be an absolute must-watch TV. I'm a little pissed we have to wait till Sunday night to watch that one because that is by far the one that I'm looking forward to the most. But yeah, I think the Ravens kind of did what they had to do. There was nothing that they really could have done for them to kind of earn brownie points in this game. They could have lost brownie points for sure, and they avoided doing exactly that. Derrick Henry obviously gives the Ravens a weapon they didn't have last year, and he's unbelievable, and it seems like Derrick Henry only gets better the later in the season you get. The Ravens defense looked very good, but I think what also might have been the most promising thing the Ravens did in this game, only 3 penalties. This is the team that had the most penalties, most penalty yards all season. I think I said it before Wildcard Weekend last week that they got to fix the penalty issues. Even if they had a lot of penalties in this game, they probably were going to get away with it. Not going to get away with that many penalties against the Bills. Not going to get away with that many penalties against the Chiefs if that's who they play in the AFC Championship if they make it that far. But that is a promising sign. Only 3 penalties for 14 yards against the Steelers. They got to stay disciplined these next few weeks.
Yeah, their defense is really turning it on, though. I mean,
yes.
we talked about end of year to now, from first half into like the last 5-6 games, there was a turning point where that defense just really turned it on.
Yeah, from week 10 on, I think they're second in opponent EPA per play and top 5 in opponent success rate too. So they are the team to watch. They are my Super Bowl pick, the team that I picked them to play. If you remember the bracket from last week, the team that I said the Ravens are going to play in the Super Bowl is already eliminated, the Buccaneers.
My upset pick.
Yeah, there you go. My upset pick, which is the next game we're talking about, was not even close. It was the Broncos against the Bills. Hey, first drive, I was like, ooh, Broncos are live. Ooh, that upset pick's looking good. Ooh, they're at least going to cover the spread. And then I don't think they scored a single point the rest of the game. No, they lost 31-7. So 7-0 like a minute into the game, and then nothing after that. 31-7 for the Bills.
What I thought, Bills are great, by the way. The Bills are just so good. The Broncos, they have a franchise quarterback. I'm shocked. I'm shocked by this. I did not think I was going to be on this at all. I'm not saying he's Lamar, Josh, Patrick, or Joe, but can he be that Justin Herbert territory? Yeah, I think he can. Now, I thought the Josh Allen comp was just hilarious. No. You know, he reminds me of Josh Allen. And that he's a white quarterback who can run a little bit? Yeah. Like that, no. Josh Allen's arm is much greater. The upside is much higher. But Bo Nix showed me a lot. His receivers, if you watch this game, it does not represent the box score. Like, Herbert's does. Herbert's really does, besides that one interception. Bo Nix was pretty good in this game. His receivers were atrocious. Every single good throw I thought he made was just dropped. I was like, are they throwing this game?
Of drops. Yeah.
I mean, it was perplexing. I thought Bo Nix looked good. He looked calm, didn't panic. I was impressed.
They didn't have a running game either, which kind of hurt them in this game. I felt if they really could have, stuck to the run game and could move the ball on the ground against the Bills, then they definitely could have made this one a little bit closer, but they were not able to do that. Nobody showed up for the run game. Jaleel McLaughlin, 2 carries, -2 yards. Javonte Williams, not terrible, 7 carries, 29 yards, but you're going to need more from that to beat the Buffalo Bills.
10P kids. There was a dope in your play, Sterling, a few months ago that said Nix was the 4th best rookie quarterback this year. Well, if it makes you feel better, I had him as 5th.
Yeah, I don't even right now. Well, I mean, Jaden Daniels 1, Michael Penix 2.
Come on.
I mean, you expand what he did in those 3 games to a full season. He's better than Bo Nix.
Yeah, you're not doing that.
I'm doing it.
My
point was, is even saying Nix now the 4th best rookie quarterback that crazy though? I guess maybe he's 3.
Am I
missing
right
a quarterback?
Now.
Caleb, he's probably better
Drake
than Caleb
May.
Williams.
Drake May, and then so I kind of had it break down this year. I had Jane Daniels, I think I had Caleb 2, maybe Michael Penix 3, Drake May 4, and then I had Bo Nix 5. So I was wrong. I thought Bo Nix was the worst of the first round draft pick quarterbacks. I did not believe in him.
Also, don't forget JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, I think I had him worse than JJ. I was not high.
You were not a believer.
I'm not. I was not in Bo and I was not in JJ.
Yeah.
But good call, by the way. I forgot about JJ McCarthy.
People forget.
Yeah,
he's just chilling in Minnesota right now. Who was it? Was it Luciano 10B kids who said that? I mean, still, I don't think saying he was the 4th best rookie quarterback is that crazy. I think he's 3rd.
Hey, I'm just saying I admit my mistakes.
Yeah.
It takes a big man, okay? Give credit. Hey, Iain, no, give credit.
And give credit to me for being a believer.
Yeah.
I was a believer.
We got there.
And I was ashamed, but we
got there.
Yeah. All right, so that's the AFC wildcard side of the bracket wrapped up. So that is the Texans obviously going to the Chiefs. The Ravens will go to Buffalo to take on the Bills, and that is definitely the game of the divisional round, no matter what happens tonight, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, do MVP voters already have their votes locked in? I think so, right?
Yes, regular season.
Right. So, I mean, a lot of people are saying whoever wins this game should win MVP, but I think votes have already been cast.
Yeah,
right?
It won't matter. Yeah.
It actually reminds me a lot of the NFC Championship game from 2016 when it was Falcons against Packers, and people were saying winner of that game wins MVP. Now the Falcons did win it. Matt Ryan did win MVP, but I think it was the same thing. I think MVP votes already cast. It will be interesting though. Lamar Jackson did win All-Pro, which then shifted him to the betting favorite to win MVP.
Yeah, it's been the last 10 years. First team All-Pro quarterback's been the MVP, or
Has it
at
been?
least, well, yes, over All-Pro 2. Yeah. That's been the biggest indicator of who wins MVP.
Yeah. So because of that, the odds completely flipped, and now Lamar Jackson's favorite. So, it'll be interesting. That's a hell of a game. Those two teams already played earlier this season, but obviously we're going to preview that game more on Wednesday. Let's talk the NFC games that we have watched so far, starting with the Packers and Eagles. I expected a lot more from the Packers. It is hard to bounce back from a game. Actually, you know what? Let's actually back up a little bit. Sorry. I wanted to talk about this when we talked about Steelers-Ravens. So let's actually just back up if we can. A lot of people are now a lot of people are now calling on Mike Tomlin to be fired. Do you agree with that? I sent out a tweet after the game on Saturday night, and I want to read this word for word to make sure I got it right. Mike Tomlin hasn't had a competent quarterback since 3 years before Big Ben retired, because the last 2 years of Big Ben, he's trash. Yet he drags them to the playoffs every year. Why are people calling for him to be fired? How about getting him a quarterback? And Steelers fans pissed. Not just I disagree. Steelers fans are in my DMs, in my replies, calling me an idiot, saying I don't know ball. I've never watched a game before in my life. I didn't think it was that hot of a take, but apparently to Steelers fans, me saying Mike Tomlin shouldn't be fired is a hot take.
Yeah, I'm on your side, which is I hate saying that. I'm on Iain's side.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often.
Yeah, here I am. They need a quarterback. Now, if you say he probably has some say and some sway because he's been there so long.
That's been the main argument against it. They're saying it's his fault they don't have a quarterback, but he's not their GM. So
no, but
he still has a lot of say in everything.
I'm sure he would. I mean, he's been there that long. It's like Andy Reid. He's not the GM, but he has a lot of say and sometimes guys getting drafted. I like my dog just trying to get comfortable behind me now. He's just even as I'm awake, he goes, I'm going to keep you up.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep you up, Dad. But yeah, I mean, I think it's more the GM, not Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin, I think, has done a fine job. Now, they need an OC, and if he's a lot of say in who's the OC, then okay. It's a very boring style of football, but clearly it gets them to the playoffs year after year.
I think the sign of a good coach is a coach that can lead a team to more wins than they probably deserve based on the talent on the roster. And Mike Tomlin seems to do that every single year. Now, now listen, do I watch Steelers games? Yes, but I'm not a diehard Steelers fan where I know the ins and outs of how that franchise works. If it is true that Mike Tomlin, basically they do everything Mike Tomlin says in terms of the players that they acquire, and Kenny Pickett was his guy, and he was like, no, let's not draft a rookie, let's sign Russell. If he's making all those decisions, how about you just tell him that he's no longer making those decisions? Oh, because he's still clearly a very good football coach. So, why don't you just take away those privileges from him? And then if he's like, no, I want to call all the players on my roster and everyone on my staff, then maybe you got to move on. But, it's so hard. And maybe I think Steelers fans kind of are spoiled in the sense that they just think it's easy to get a head coach because they've gone from, who was it before Bill Cowher? Who was it? They've had 3 coaches in 60 years. I feel like they think it's really easy to get a really good head coach. It's actually not. It's extremely difficult. So there's got to be other solutions other than to firing Mike Tomlin, who I think that might be the best coach. If Mike Tomlin gets fired, he's immediately the number 1 head coaching candidate.
Correct.
This was another thing that I did see people get brought up. Ken McGee. Apparently they have the most expensive defense in football. That's probably not good. Yeah, but still, who does I don't even know who the Steelers GM is. So if Mike Tomlin's making all these calls, then what does Omar Khan? That's right. What does he even do? No one's bringing his name into the mix.
Vibe. He's a vibe guy.
Right. So is Mike Tomlin both coach and GM, or is Omar Khan just doing what Mike Tomlin tells him to, or is he the real issue?
I think he's a great head coach still. I really do. But it is a little bit like Bill Belichick got too big for his britches towards the end.
Sure.
If he is doing GM head coach, it does not work. It does not work. this is still Bill Belichick's roster for the most part in New England. It's devoid of talent. He did not draft well at all. I think the same thing with, what's his name, in Houston, Bill O'Brien. I think Bill O'Brien was actually a pretty good head coach. I did. But when he became the head coach GM, what happened? It was an atrocity. It's just too much.
Yeah. So we'll see. Steelers fans obviously want to move on. Knock one time said time for a new direction in Pittsburgh, fresh thinking. I get it. I mean, and also it is kind of, you are in kind of no man's land when you do what the Steelers have been doing, where you just make the playoffs and then lose in the first round, because also you're not getting high draft picks, which is generally what you need if you want to get that franchise quarterback. So either they need to have a bad season or they need to spend a lot of capital to then move up in the draft and kind of get their guy. Unfortunately, this might not be the offseason for them to do it, because this does not look like a good quarterback draft from everything that I'm hearing from college football people. So.
Run it back with Russ, baby.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Packers, Eagles. The conversation coming out of this game is just how good is Jordan Love. Not a good game for Jordan Love. It is going to be hard as a team to win when you fumble the opening kickoff and basically hand points to the other team right off the bat. But there's now a lot of like stats and stuff coming out, and people are starting to become anti-Jordan Love. One season after, heading into the season, he was like everyone's favorite dark horse MVP, and now everyone's saying, see, I told you Jordan Love sucked.
I didn't tell you Jordan Love sucked, but
I'm not saying he did. No,
but I did say pump the brakes hard on Jordan Love.
Right.
I said he's just super inconsistent. Like, you can't win with a quarterback who's completing, what was that at one point last year, like 54% of his passes. Like, there needs to be more consistency in his game. I don't know if we saw that this year. I don't know if we saw the more consistent Jordan Love. The highs are so high, but the lows are almost unplayable. And we had one of the unplayable Jordan Loves in this game.
Now, they did obviously have a lot of receiver injuries. And as deep as their receiving core is, they still don't have the top elite guy.
But you have a whole bunch of, you have Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Dobbs. I mean,
I agree, it's deep. But I'd say Jaden Reed's the best. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, you're right.
Where would Jaden Reed rank amongst NFL receivers?
You're right. They don't have a legit wide receiver 1. They're loaded with like wide receiver 2 types.
Yeah.
Because even Christian Watson's not a wide receiver. He's a wide receiver 2 type. Like,
yeah.
I get what you're saying.
I do want to read one stat which I found interesting here. Because this is what happens every time that like the general public turns on a player, then you start to see like these stats that you've never seen before. Like people just go digging to find anti this player's stats. So this comes in from Brett Coleman, tweeted this last night. Jordan Love's stats on true dropbacks this season, including today. So these are dropbacks that are non-play action, non-RPO, non-screen pass attempts. Just drop back and rip it. 57.7% completion percentage, 15 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, 7.5 yards per attempt, 77.6 rating. So that indicates that like when you just need him to drop back and be a quarterback, he can't do it.
That tells you Metaflor is doing a damn good job with Jordan Love.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not young. He's young in his NFL career.
Right.
But he's not a second-year guy. He's a second-year starter. He should have these nuances, you would think, figured out. And yeah, I'm with you guys. He doesn't have a legit wide receiver 1. I'm not saying you punt on Jordan Love. I was just saying people should have pumped the brakes on crowning him like the elite of the NFC and all this. Like,
yeah, he had a hot end of the season last year, and then
I kept saying that, and he had a great stretch, and so the last memory you have was that.
Yep.
And so I tried to pump the brakes. No one wanted to listen.
Yeah.
Credit me, Ian, for being correct here.
Credit to you.
Thank you.
Credit to me too. I think I agreed with that point preseason. Okay. So yeah, I mean that stat I read is pretty damning, because I think to kind of be an elite quarterback, I think you also need to just be able to drop back and throw the ball. You can't have every play be a play action or an RPO or a screenplay.
No chance. I'm so sorry, but Gianfranco Armani, Herbert still top 2 quarterback, by the way.
Top two in his team?
Top 2 in the AFC West.
Yeah.
I'll still say he's better than Bo Nix for now. Yeah, I'll say top 2 in the AFC West.
Yeah.
Top 2 in what? when he grows his hair out, top 2 long-haired quarterback with Trevor Lawrence? I don't.
Yep. Top 2 Oregon quarterbacks in the NFL? Him and Bo Nix. Yeah, so now, but I think my take now for Jordan Love heading into this offseason is I think I'm going to go the other side. Where like this offseason, everyone's going to be like, Jordan Love stinks. He's not the answer in Green Bay. I'm going to say, pump the brakes on that. He's probably better than he looked late in the season last year.
Yes, I agreed. He's also injured like 3 times this year.
Yes, he was pretty banged up. All right, let's talk Sunday Night Football now.
We'll give the Eagles some love.
Oh, I mean, yeah, credit to the Eagles. They did what they had to do.
It wasn't pretty, but they did what they had to do. This was Jalen Hurts' first game back.
Yeah, and the Packers are a good team.
So, yeah,
that's like 12, I do see some Eagles fans who are like nervous because they didn't look good. It's like you beat the Pack. Like if you look that good against the Patriots, then that's a reason to be concerned. But I mean, at the end of the day, you won, and you won fairly comfortably.
Well, what's interesting is it's not the way I think that a lot of Eagles fans thought it was going to look going this year. It's not A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Right. Dallas Goedert, by the way, made an incredible touchdown run. Catch and run.
That's crazy.
That was just grown man strength. That was awesome. It's the defense. Yeah. Second half of the season, week 6, whenever Cooper DeJean got inserted into the slot corner role, that defense took off. You're seeing Nolan Smith make impact plays. The Eagles defense is so impressive. Maybe the most underrated defense in the NFL playoffs right now. Yeah. I don't think many people are talking about how good they really are.
They did lose Nakobe Dean, it looks like, for the rest of the playoffs, which does certainly hurt them. But yeah, ever since they had a bye, they went into their week 5 bye week 2-2, including a loss to my Atlanta Falcons, and then only lost one game the rest of the season. It was when Jalen Hurts got hurt, and then they lost with their backups into Jaden Daniels and Commanders. So, yeah, Eagles still somehow kind of underrated heading into the divisional round. A lot of people still saying Lions. I mean, if Eagles and Lions playing the NFC Championship, I think I give the edge to the Eagles.
Well, that's what I said. Well, my Super Bowl is Chiefs Eagles, so yeah. I know. I get it. I didn't say most fun for the average fan. But I have to go with what I believe. I'm not going to lie.
Anyone but the Chiefs, please. I'm sick of them. All right. Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
Commanders, Buccaneers. This was a game that I did not enjoy watching because I just felt like the Falcons should be in the playoffs. Jaden Daniels is him, as the kids say nowadays.
Remember when I said that?
Yes, you get credit. Hey, this episode is all about credit. We're giving each other credit.
Hey, I said Commanders win this game. I put my money where my mouth is too.
And you said Jaden Daniels is the best rookie quarterback heading into the draft.
Yes, he's so good, dude. Yeah, he can take over a game.
He's unbelievable.
He can take over a game. He can ice games away.
The Buccaneers were using 2 spies at times last night.
Yes, and the Commanders are okay weapon-wise. Terry McLaurin's really good, but he's like a back-end wide receiver 1, right? Like if you're...
yeah, sure.
Well, it depends how you break down wide receiver 1s. Like, he's definitely top 32, but like as far as like the wide receiver, like he's good, but he's not A.J. Brown or an elite player, right? I think we can agree there.
Yep.
He's really, really good, though. But it was Dynamite Brown. It was... Zach
Olamide
Ertz.
Zaccheaus.
Yeah, like...
Former Falcon.
They don't have Austin Eckler who's getting involved now. They're not littered with a ton of talent offensively. Their offensive line is fine. I like these guys. There's not a knock, but they're former Chiefs offensive linemen that the Chiefs were like, yeah, we can't afford you as a backup, but you can get starter money somewhere else. Nick Allegretti and Andrew Wiley. Right? Like, what?
That was kind of an unnecessary shot at them. That's coming from a Chief. We didn't want them. We just sent them away. They're doing all right.
No,
but
they wanted the Chiefs. No, my point is they wanted to keep those two guys, but they couldn't afford to keep them over a Trey Smith or a Joe Tooney. You know what I'm saying? Like, they wanted to keep them.
I get it.
But as backups, you can't pay a backup that much money, so they got starter jobs elsewhere, but kind of got that in-between starter backup money, right? Where it's that kind of like 3 for 15 or 2 for 15 for like a tackle. That's not 1 or 2 for 30. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
not good enough for the Chiefs, good enough for the Commanders, though.
My point is, they're fine, but they don't have an elite offensive line.
Right. I agree with that.
The point I'm trying to make is Jaden Daniels is doing all of this, and just wait until he gets some more weapons, a better offensive line.
Yeah.
The defense played pretty good in this one overall, but better. Like, they're not supposed to be a good team this year. They weren't. Yeah. Jaden Daniels has been that good. That's the reason why.
I felt something last night watching this game, and I'm not ready to use the term fraudulent, and maybe I shouldn't even bring that word up, but there are a couple of teams in the NFL where it just seems like every break goes their way, and the Commanders unfortunately kind of feel like one of those teams. I thought they actually severely got outplayed last night, generally. I thought the fumble between Baker Mayfield, the Baker Mayfield fumble that turned it over gave them, basically free points. The 3rd and inches on the Buccaneers last drive, and the center snapped it early, and that whole thing messed up. Hold on, let me finish. The doink and in field goal. If you go back to the Commanders, the Hail Mary that got completed, you go back to their game against the Eagles, Jalen Hurts got hurt. Devontae Smith dropped a wide open pass on his hands on a 3rd down, which would have sealed the game. It just, they won the coin toss in overtime against the Falcons. It just seems, and I thought about not bringing this up because I don't want to take away from what the Commanders have done. But it just seems like I'm starting to watch every Commanders game, and they just get unbelievable lucky breaks, just enough of them to win the game. They got outgained last night against the Buccaneers, 6.5 yards per play to 5.1. That's a difference of 1.4 yards per snap of the football in favor of the Buccaneers, and they still won the game. I want teams to go out and grab the game by the horns and deserve to win it. And I just feel like when I watch the Commanders, they win games they shouldn't win. Because
of Jaden Daniels.
I mean, Jaden Daniels didn't have anything to do with Baker Mayfield fumbling and then also the bad snap. He didn't have anything to do with the doinking in field goal.
No, but he shouldn't have doinked it. That's the point. That was a short field goal. That was a chippy.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter, we've seen two doinking in field goals this season, and it happened to the Chiefs and Commanders.
It would be more unlucky if he misses that.
I see what you're saying.
Right, like the odds of him making that had to have been 91 or 89%.
Right. I don't want to. Yeah, you're right. My point doesn't stand on the doinking in; it more stands on what the Buccaneers' offense did.
But that's also the Buccaneers' fault.
Sure,
don't snap early.
That's the same thing when I talk bringing up the things that happen to the Chiefs. Most of the things are the other team's fault. And I get when it happens to the Chiefs, though, because there's the psychological intimidation, Super Bowl champs. I don't know why teams are doing this against the Commanders.
Well, and I don't know what happened for sure. I got to look up and see if Baker talked about a post-game in regards to the MacMillan, that end around. Because when you watched it live and then when you watched him on the bench, Baker made it seem like that was his fault. Like that maybe it was just supposed to be emotion and he tried to really sell it. And when he sold it, I might be looking too far into this, right? Maybe it actually was an end around to MacMillan. But the way that Baker acted after that, maybe it's just him being a quarterback and a leader. But he put all the blame on himself. He's like, that's on me, guys. So I would love to know what went wrong there. If that was just him trying to sell a fake, if he got too aggressive with it or what. But in that moment, that can't happen. You're right. The Commanders got a good bounce there, but I didn't see Jaden Daniels make a mistake like that.
Last night he didn't, but I guess the point is, it's not even I don't need anyone to agree with me. I just want my opinion out there. Jaden Daniels didn't make those mistakes against the Eagles when they beat them in the regular season. And then Devontae Smith dropped a wide open pass in his hands on what would have been a game-sealing 3rd down. It just seems like, and that's why I'm not a big, Commanders seem to be a very popular team right now. And I just can't get on board because I want to see teams go out and win the games. And I feel like the Commanders, the other teams that they're playing, are losing the games. They're not winning them. The other team's losing them.
Well, and here, again, you're not going to get a ton of argument from me necessarily, because I don't think that they're this great team. They're way ahead of schedule. I think it's because of what Jaden Daniels has done for the most part of why they've even been involved in these games and not getting blown out.
100%. And he deserves all the credit in the world.
And that's more or less my point is I'm praising Jaden Daniels. If you're a Commanders fan, you have to be thrilled. Maybe don't be surprised if they took a step back win-wise next year, even if they look better. Like, let's say they win 10 games or 9 games next year, but they look better overall.
Yeah, I agree.
Just, again, these things have a way of evening out in the long run, year over year.
Unless you're the Chiefs, then it just keeps going their way.
Just keeps going. Well, this is the first year they've had a positive turnover margin, right?
Has it? Is it? Have they had negative turnover averages
for a while? Past? Yeah, and it took until the Browns game. Yeah. They were still losing the turnover margin this year until the Browns game. They got like 6 off of Jameis. Yeah. They win some unconventional ways.
Yeah. And yeah, that's a good point. I don't want to take anything away from Jaden Daniels because he has been one of the best rookie quarterbacks in NFL history. I think I'd have to compare the numbers, but I want to say he even had a better rookie season than CJ Stroud did last year. His poise in the pocket, his ability to beat teams with his legs and his arm, his ability to roll out, keep his eyes downfield, create, not even necessarily scramble, but sometimes just create more time with his legs. All the credit to Jaden Daniels. It's just the reason why I'm not like all in on the Commanders because yeah. And am I still sour because they beat the Falcons a couple weeks ago? Yes. Iain, how many mimosas did you have Thursday night before your tangent? I don't know what tangent you're talking about. But 0 would be the answer. Mimosas. Isn't mimosa like a Saturday brunch thing? I'm not having mimosas on Thursday nights.
Oh, baby, any time's a good time for a mimosa.
Yeah.
I call it a mimosa. Really? It's mine, not yours, baby. Yeah.
At nighttime, I don't think I've ever had a mimosa past 1 p.m.
Yeah, probably not, but I'd still rock it. Who cares?
Yeah, it's tasty. Nothing wrong with, sparkling wine and orange juice.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else from last night, Sunday Night Football?
Nah, not really.
All right.
I mean, not a ton.
Notre Dame. Oh yeah. I don't like it when athletes, after they win a game, give all the credit to Jesus. How about give credit to your team? How about that? How about give credit to the players who played on the field? How about give credit to the coaches? How about give credit to the fans? How about give credit to the school or the city? 100% of credit goes to Jesus. 100%. That gets me, and that got me on Thursday night with Notre Dame.
So I don't mind it necessarily. Like, I don't want to talk religion necessarily on the show.
No, and I want to make it clear. This is not this is not an anti-Jesus or an anti-religious take. It's give credit to the people who were actually on the field playing the game.
My thing is, I don't mind giving credit, but I think it's a little silly sometimes when they act like Jesus favored your team over the other team, because sometimes that's the way it comes off.
Correct. Yes.
Because I'm like, I don't think that they care about this football game.
Because I think specifically the question that sparked this rant was like, I think the interview asked him, like, what did you guys change in the second half? Because you guys came out and looked like a very different team in the second half. And he was just like, yeah, we just gave it all up for Jesus, and he just helped us win in the second half. It's like, what? Jesus just took over in the second half? Like, there must have been some halftime adjustments, or you guys had a little bit of a different scheme, or maybe you just played a bit better. You woke up at halftime. He was like, no, second half, it's just all, Jesus stepped in. Okay. But yeah, that was college football. So yes. Did I have a couple mimosas Thursday night? No. Did I have a couple of other drinks? Yes. All right. Monday Night Football preview. It is the Vikings and Rams now in Arizona, Sterling, unfortunately, because of the devastating fires in Los Angeles. It is now to Arizona, which obviously sucks that this moved. Sucks, obviously, for the people in LA. If anyone's listening or watching this from LA, I hope you and your family and you're all doing okay and you're safe. I do find it interesting, Sterling, how the odds have moved in this game, because the classic rule was that home field advantage is worth 3 points. I had a very strong suspicion that was confirmed. That's been confirmed by pro bettors as well, that it's no longer worth 3 points. This is actually a case we get to see exactly how much home field is worth for the Rams, because the Rams were 1.5 point underdogs. They're now 2.5 point underdogs, which means for the betting market views the Rams playing at home worth 1 point.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating to me because I'm obviously in the betting space, but regardless, the Vikings are now 2.5 point favorites.
I believe I took the Rams when we did our
because we did do a full preview, so we don't need to talk too much.
Yeah, I forget who I took, but this should be a great game. The poise, the been there beforeness of Sean McVay and Matt Stafford with great wide receivers. And then with the Vikings, it's can their defense get back and pressure a guy who is, for the most part, seen it all before? And which Sam Darnold are we going to get? The one that saw ghosts last week, or is that the Michigan-Ohio State Sam Darnold, where it's, okay, we're looking too much into one game. There still are a really good team, and he's been a great player all year long. Look at the larger sample size here. This was like a pick 'em for me. This was the game that I went back and forth on the most. I think when we did our thing, I want to stick with it because we already made our picks. I believe I went with the Rams. I'll have to ask Sean.
For the actual picks we gave out, as our official picks of the week, you did not have a pick for this game.
Okay.
You went Steelers plus 9.5, which did not hit. You did hit Commanders as your upset, and then you had Bills Broncos under 46.5, which hit. So you went 2-1.
I went 2-1.
The only pick we had for the show is my total bet was Vikings Rams under 47.
Yeah.
Which I think we both agree that we think it's going to be a little bit lower.
Agreed. You know what? I think I'll go Rams. I'm just going to go with the Matt Stafford being there before. We've seen him in big time moments. Sam Darnold with the chance to get the 1 seed. Again, it's a little unfair, but that's the last memory we have of him, and it might be clouding my judgment, but I got to see him do it.
I would. If I have to pick a side, I think I'll go Rams plus 2.5 with the points. I think it's going to be a close one. Touchdown score for this game, which we were doing for a few weeks this season for the Monday Night Football game. I have a touchdown score, and I'm going to go with TJ Hawkinson, the tight end for the Vikings, as my touchdown scorer for tonight, which I think is just over 2-1 odds because the Rams have not done a good job of defending tight ends this season. I'm just trying to bring up my notes here so I can see exactly. They have allowed the second most receptions, 106, and fourth most receiving yards to tight ends this season. Now, to be fair, how much does that have to do with the fact they had to go against Trey McBride twice and George Kittle twice this season? Probably a little bit. But still, I think this is TJ Hawkinson did not play in the first game against the first meeting between these two teams. I'm going to take TJ Hawkinson to score tonight at plus 215.
I'll go Puka Nakua's even money.
Yeah, plus 115 at DraftKings.
Yeah, I'll go Puka Nakua.
Puka Nakua surprisingly hasn't scored as many touchdowns as you think this season. I still like it regardless.
I get that, but I'm still gonna roll with that. I thought it would be minus money, so yeah, I'll take Puka Nakua.
Yeah. 10p kids to say Jesus must be a Chiefs fan, which is 100% true. There's no other explanation. Naylor plus 5. I like the Naylor look too because Naylor has a ton of Naylor has a ton of touchdowns this year.
Yeah, I like that 10p.
Yeah, I think he has 6 touchdowns this year. Plus 550 for a guy who already has 6 touchdowns. I like it. All right, that is the show. Final thoughts.
I'm gonna try and sleep tonight so my dog doesn't keep me up all night.
Yeah, good call.
I'm excited to watch football. This is awesome. Don't take the playoffs for granted. Don't take the wild card game for granted. Steelers fans, have some nuance here. You're not the Jets, or the Falcons, so have some nuance here.
There are 8 NFL games left. 4, 6, 1, 7, 8. 8 NFL games left until the offseason.
Wow, there's going to be the Chiefs will play in 3 of them.
Wild Herb Ways, scripted NFL. Steelers, Justin Fields did play a series second half. NFL Corp pulled a commercial, erased play from record. Fans never saw the play. NFL New York told Tomlin Fields cannot play first Ravens. You know what the worst part is? I don't know if you're joking or not, Wild Herb Ways. But yeah, you're right. The fix was in. Justin Fields would have been the difference maker. He would have led a 28-point comeback against the Ravens, and the NFL New York pulled the plug. That's what happened. If you're aware of the script the next few weeks, please let me know.
Everyone knew the Steelers were going to win if Justin Fields played that second half. Everyone knows it.
Oh yeah, who better to lead a 28-point comeback than Justin Fields? That's the show. Like and subscribe. We'll be back Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern to preview the divisional round, and I will make my case for why the Houston Texans will upset the Kansas City Chiefs on Saturday. Talk to you then. Bye.